Uh, so far, so good. Well, happy Friday night. It's, I want to check. I am struggling a lot on this end. I'm getting, I think, to the end of what I can do with the video world. I have to admit, I'm right at the end of what I can do. Let me know if I'm glitching tonight. I've been having the almighty struggle of my life trying to come live to you tonight. And you can see I'm in a different place. I'm at my mother's, which has nothing to do with anything. I just had to reintroduce hardware, like the camera. And I am not somewhere where my husband is. I'm at my mom's, and Teddy has been out. So, as you can imagine, that's not for me. That's like understatement. So, first thing I want to check with is number one, can you see me? Second thing, am I glitching? Because I'm feeling like it's trying to do all kinds of stuff when I log on with you, and it's getting worse and worse as time goes on, instead of better and better, which you would think technology would be doing. I will say in the meantime, let me fast track to the bottom and see if anyone's like, I can't see you or I can't hear you. See, my computer's just not responding, and this is a brand new computer. Um, okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm still holding out hope that this might work. Let's see what happens. Happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome back. It is great to see you. It is great to have a screen happening too. Amazing. And I am really hoping that we can move forward with this episode because I've been holding all of this sort of Vermont talk from when, I went and gave the talk to the Vermont Guild. It was just a whole full weekend of fun, not just at the event itself. There was like an epic throwdown of rugs, but it looks like I'm glitching. Also, I found some beautiful rugs to and fro that trip that I want to share with you. Let me see. I can see and hear you. No glitches. I'm okay. Okay, great. So far, so good. Okay, great. Let me know how it goes. I have no faith in this system anymore. Honestly, I'm logging on, and I know you're all better at this than I am. Trying to log on. There's a problem with the camera. Never happened before, and then it's like, can you hold on definitely while we sync you to the cloud? There isn't like a single part of that message that I understand, like none of it. I'm familiar with the word cloud. I don't know what it is, how it's associated with me, why it would sync me, because this is a live stream. Anyway, keep me updated, and I hope it's good news because I would love to be able to do this. It has been a super busy week, and I missed getting together on Monday. It has been a landslide of insanity ever since. So fingers crossed. Come on, technology gods. Kirsten, great to see you. Happy Friday from Vermont. Cheers, my dears. I can't be in a completely bad mood on a Friday, and also because I'm at my sweet mother's house, and she gave me this glass of water. Do you notice it has a bendy straw in it? That that is the very definition of love, isn't it? I left a glass of water for you, and there's a bendy straw, and she's already bent it, right? Like, I mean, yeah, I look at this and I can't get too tripped by technology. And great to see you. Melissa, great to see you. Welcome back. Cheryl, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, after a day of planting flowers. That is a theme, isn't it? I've seen a lot on the internet with people saying things like, "This is more language that I don't understand." Like, "Oh, I was having the similar struggle of my life today with the quack grass, which I've never heard of," and I thought, "Oh, how charming is that? How offensive can the quack grass be? It sounds so lovely." And somebody else wrote, "Oh, same thing here, but with," and I forget what the thing was, but it was another plant, must have been another like invasive weed that I'd never heard of before. And I'm reading this thread of a friend and going, God, does everybody garden for me? I mean, I thought I was good with, um, planting my Julia Child rose bush and dogwood. And meanwhile, yeah, people are battling quack grass and things I've never heard of. And I thought, wow, interesting, impressive. Uh, I'm glad you're in for the planting and happy evening, happy weekend. Uh, Catherine, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Welcome back, Linda B. Happy Friday night. Colors popping in New Jersey, and cheers to all the Garden State, right? Cheers to you too. Great to see you. Diane, great to see you. Welcome back. Different friend, Catherine. Hello, all. I've been working on my Feed the Birds. You've been working on Feed the Birds? How fun. I'm almost finished the June one. And I don't have it here. I'll wait a little bit before I show you, but I had to work like a month ahead on June one because we'll be going away. I want to be sure that that I'm up to date and that right at the beginning of June when my husband comes back a week before the rest of the family, because he has to come back for work, he'll be able to start showing us. So I'm almost done with June. It's very different than May. I hope they're all very different from each other. I'm really enjoying that series too. Um, Feed the Birds kit. I see the little mouse. How cute. The mouse for Margot. That's really cute. Thank you, Melissa. I'm so glad. Yeah, the mouse kit, because of subscriptions, they're not official subscriptions, but I give people heads up who are subscribing to all of the kits. They're at this point when I do the kits the way I have been, like a limited edition, there's only one extra every month. So I have one extra for the last 3 months, just one. So I think they are getting more popular. The first one's completely sold out, but I know not everybody wants every kit. Not everybody is a, what do you say, completionist. I I know that I am. It's a real problem, but it's good to be able to be flexible too. So not everybody does that. Thanks for the update, Kirsten. Oh yeah, thank you, Kirsten. So I missed that. I was communicating with Kirsten saying I'm not the words I used, but I'm having a real struggle waiting to sync to the cloud and re introducing or reconnecting my camera. Fantastic, right? Super fun. Cecilia, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Diane's cider sounds so good. See, I missed that one too. Oh, Dave, yep, hard cider and popcorn there. Lacing your braid. Oh, you're doing the lacing part. You are right at the end of it now. That sounds like fun. Well, it doesn't sound like fun, but it's great that you're at that part and you're committed, you're in it, you're going to be done soon. That part is great. It's nice to finish up a project. You can always count on Kirsten. Absolutely. Thank you for being there and giving us crazy and for writing something normal to represent me because I was not feeling normal, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. Let me just catch up on the end here. New Moon, Jujun. All right, let me see. Boop, boop, boop. Joyce, great to see you. It's wishing for you now. Oh boy, I thought so because I see myself glitching. I'm wondering how bad we are glitching. Diane says, funny info. I rewatched last Friday's video at 125 speed and there were no sound or video glitches. What is that? Interesting. Deanna, it's not you. This stuff makes no sense to anyone and doesn't make life simpler. Thank you. I thank you. I have to agree with that because I do put in a lot of mental energy learning new things so that I can, not struggle. And I'm telling you, it just doesn't matter. Joy, great to see you. Things get changed quicker than you can learn the new things. And then they update you and everything changes. And it's so strange that it works like this. So what is my glitching situation now? Are we any good at all? How glitchy are we tonight? I'm gonna start in because you all have been waiting and that really was awful. I'm calmer now. I feel like I could really use a drink, but I'm gonna drink out of Bendy's straw. Share, great to see you. Happy Friday. Cheers, my dears, to you. Great to see you. I'll keep an eye out. So you let me know how badly I am or am not glitching. But now we have a clue. I wonder if it's something to do with syncing to the cloud. So that's something I'm going to have to ask Teddy. What is that about? Could that be affecting the quality of the stream? Oh, the most boring conversations of my life. Let me bring you over here to the beginning, and I will pay attention to the thread. You let me know how things are going. So I want to bring you, oops, I didn't want to bring you there just yet. I want to bring you to the part of the trip because I want to share some of the throwdown rugs from the Green Mountain event, right? Their anniversary event. But as you can imagine, on the way to Vermont and on the way back, because the event was at the Fireside Inn, Oh, when you rewatch it, there were no glitches. How stupid and strange. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Well, we'll hope for the best. On the way to and fro, thank you, Diane. Okay, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. I have to stop because I have like I must have rabies, right? Like I have to stop places. If there's any chance that there is a rug like inside the building, I have to stop the car. Poor children. They're so used to it now and they're such good sports. They really don't care. They come in, do a quick circuit around, check for Pokemon, and then they are out. But I need to drag myself around almost crawling on my hands and knees, just checking all of the stalls in these multi-dealer shops. This one is called, I think, the Old Stone House. I feel like it's in Chester, Vermont, like near the Vermont Country Store, one of them. Um, I saw this rug, and this is one of the stalls that always has a lovely rug. And this is mounted. This is a nice 19th century rug. I can't remember how much it was. I feel like it was 500. And is that the right price? That is the right price. I think that's a fine price for this. This has got a little extra something going on because here we've got not just the beautiful seasonal roses in the border, we've got a very cool scroll. Check that out. It's like a three-color scroll plus its outlines, like brownish gray, 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 and dove gray. Like really cool looking scroll. You can see the dove in front of it. Like if you hung this piece up and you had a few knickknacks in front of it, it's going to look great no matter what your knickknacks are. Could be like a early 20th century Art Nouveau lamp or a white china horse or what are those little plants called? Succulents inside a chicken vase, right? It's all going to look good in front of a classic rug like this. You also see the great directional hooking, the streakiness of it, and how the different blacks have changed. Oh, my mom done. Ted and I are back with the pizza. I had the struggle of life. It was everything to do with here. Everything here was great. And I know she's down there. So anyway, while you were out getting the pizza, I was saying how much I appreciated the bent straw love of the mama, right? Mama gives the glass of water with pre-bent straw all set for me. I love you, Mom. She's so cute. I was tempted to buy this because 500 for me, 500 is a considerable amount. I think it is a considerable amount. Dan says, "Your poor put upon children. It makes them resilient, putting them up with their parents. They do have to put up with our weirdness, and they do more stuff than any children I have ever known. So I think they just go with it. They know wherever we go, there will be lots of stops, rabies stops, like searching for rug stops, but they also know there will be some beautiful walks and nice meals, right? Um, One more thing about this rug, two more things that I think are exceptional. I love the combination of like the summer roses and the autumn leaves. To me, this is like the very definition of New England, right? Like going through the season, those beautiful summer roses and then the autumn leaves incorporates a whole sort of wheel of the year for somebody making this rug in the late 1800s. The most striking thing to me about this rug is the inclusion. It's almost like a Celtic wheel, the center design. It's very unusual. And the inclusion of tassels is very, very interesting to me because they, there's clovers, right? It looks like there's three clovers, but also tassels. Clovers, of course, represent luck, whether they're three leaf or four leaf, but the tassels are unusual. Tassels are one of the most prominent and common Victorian sort of decor motifs. We hardly ever see tassel and hooked rugs. Considering how many tassel keychains and curtain tiebacks and decorative things that you would hang up on with your textile stuff, lots of tassels, even metal tassels on Victorian furniture. Lots of tassels. My sister actually collects metal tassels, like lamp poles, things like that, ceiling fan poles, old ones. And I find tassels, metal tassels for her all over the place, but you do not see them in rugs. So for me, that was the most compelling thing about this rug was the sort of trans season feel of the motif, but all of those tassels really, really uncommon. For a tassel collector, this in of itself is going to be a very tempting rug. I found, oh, wait a minute, this one moved. I don't know how I did that. There he goes. So this is in the same shop, that old stone house in Chester, I think Chester, Vermont. Oops, sorry. This is a tiny little Chetty Camp, right? This is, you can see it in my hand, was a tiny little guy. I think this was 30 or 35. Is the right price? You know, what it is, I wouldn't want to have to make this for 30, right? It'd be it's a great little dollhouse rug or something for a dollhouse, but it'd be a lot of work for 30. We know that because we hook. But yeah, it's more than these usually. This is a this is a souvenir one, but I think it is specifically for the dollhouse market. It's not one of the poster ones. It wasn't that kind of shape. It was a little bit smaller. Of course, anything dollhouse is sort of at a premium. You can ask a bit more for it. Lynn, I meant to say there are a lot of glitches there in North Carolina. Oh no. When I rewatch it, okay. Okay, let me just catch up here. I'm just gonna look. Love that wall rug. An espresso brown background would be pretty too. Absolutely. I'm just checking my mouth. It's not glitching right now, but I know that it's true. It was glitching like crazy. I'm gonna keep going. Let's see how we do. We will figure this out. Oops, wrong show. Sooner rather than later, I hope. So this was another cutie. It was a little bit of a higher price point than I thought. But for those of you who are out there who are dollhouse collectors, you're probably thinking 30 for a dollhouse rug, that's nothing, right? It just seems a lot for a little hooked rug in general. This is another one, I think from the same store. This is a Sunbonnet Sue. Um, Hair. This is a small rug, probably 16 thing tall. Real cute. This looks like an original pattern to me. It looks like someone was having fun with a plate and they did a scallop design. And it is very well done. It reminds me of that James Bond intro, you know, dun 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 dun. And when the sort of aperture closes. But somebody did this very well. I'm sure that it's a handmade pattern, but somebody was very skillful and careful with how much I'm guessing of the plate they used to create the shapes in this design. And then, of course, Sunbonnet Sue is just a solid choice because she doesn't have a face. She's always in silhouette. It makes it a little bit easier to hook her. I think, well, let's see how much this was. Let me see if I can see the price on it. This one was, as you can see, I don't want to say a little bit ratty. It's in fine shape. It could use a good cleaning. I can't make out what the price is on that. I did not get it. It was cute to me. I love the color change in the background. I love the color change in the border. I love the color change in the outer border. I love the use of yellow here, and I really love the whipped edges that are that really sky blue. I thought, yeah, this is a nice rug. I feel like they should take a little time to just clean it up a little bit because it'd be that much more appealing. I guess I just feel like, because I see rugs so much in this part of the country, when a rug is really dirty these days, because I'm spoiled for choice, right? Like shame on me, but I am spoiled for choice because I see so many. The ones that are truly filthy um, aren't so interesting for me, with very few exceptions, just because I can't deal with it. Looks like I'm glitching it again. Oh man. All right, let's keep going. Fun, right? Let's keep going. Now, what do you think of this rug? I bet you're on to me. It is not a rug. This is a floor cloth, and this was a beautiful one too. I think this was just over 100. Um, and that is a good price for a floor cloth. This could be early 20th century. I think it probably is. Very nice. These are canvas and they are very hard wearing. When they're done on the floor, this is really durable material. The edges are folded back, right? It's not going to be great for warmth, but it's beautiful for decoration. Also protects the floor in high traffic areas. It's painted. It's painted on canvas, but lots of books on floor cloths out there. These were super popular in the 1980s and 90s. I'm sure that you've seen them out there. You know, they are fairly rare, right? I see less floor cloths than I do hooked rugs. So when I see them, I expect the price to be between like 75 and maybe 125. So this one was maybe 100, maybe a little more. It is a very pretty one and it's in spectacular condition. But first, when I first looked at it, I thought it was a hooked rug and thought I might get you there that too. Just thought good to mention that because whether you're all about textile or not, some rugs are better than others, and some floor cloths are, I think, prettier than hooked rugs. Now, I'm not saying that this is one of those examples. I have it at a weird angle, I know, because I was looking down on it it was over something, not a chair, but like it was over a different piece of furniture. And I don't know if you can tell the price on that. It doesn't look like much. Can anybody see the price tag? It's upside down. I saw this, and of course, I was attracted to it because it's a textile. But man, this is another one that's super dirty, isn't it? Like what happened? What happened here? If you're gonna, if you have enough weight to do a white background rug, um, you know, I don't know. You have to know that dirt is going to show. That dirt is going to be very hard to lift, and that if you are going to get it wet, particularly with red and blues that have a lot of purple content, it's going to bleed like crazy. And all of those things, all of the above are going on here. So, is it a pretty rug? It is a pretty rug. I was not tempted by this one because it was just for me, just too filthy. Does it completely lack interest and merit? No, there's a lot of interest and merit here. This is probably an original design. I'm not sure. The scroll work on the border makes me wonder, but the oversimplicity and the asymmetry of the center motif doesn't really speak of a successful commercial pattern to me. Oh, Diane says, I just rewound a little and watched at 2 times the speed, and the sound glitching is audible. So I say glitching is tied to being live. Uh, glitching is audible. We can rewatch episode to catch audio. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good info. We've been Googling, does this program need to be updated? It doesn't. This is a brand new computer. Just got it a couple months ago. Um, Everything's working fine. There's got to be something else that I'm missing. And like I said last time, I hate to say it because I have my breezeway ready for us. Remember the red mantle? I mean, I can move it downstairs. That'd be a project. But I have everything set up for us, and I was going to start as soon as I come back from the Cape. I was going to start recording again, sometimes in our that room, right? Because we were in there for a while, and I like the sameness of that. But man, if it's going to be a problem, I'm going to have to set up something in the basement and hardwire to the internet, Ethernet. I don't know, but that's the thing, right? We'll see. We'll figure it out. But yeah, let's keep going. It's Friday. Let's keep going. And the playback hopefully will be better. It is a shame about Dave, about the bleeding on the rug. We see this a lot, and we see this a lot. Rugs get wet. And this doesn't look necessarily, this looks like a dirty rug for sure. But the bleeding looks like it really was wet. Maybe somebody tried to wash the rug to get, like, I don't know, the footprints, the dirty footprints off of it or something. Didn't work great. So you can see closer up, it does have a lot of merit. These are 3 different colored flowers. Maybe it's hard to tell from this angle, but I wouldn't call these Waldeboro, but the person took great pains to make the flowers high relief. And I think I have a better photo of that for you. This is a little bit better. Is it Waldeboro? No. But when you're standing on top of the rug, is it obvious that the rug has the flowers are sort of high relief as opposed to the rest of the rug? Yes, it's very obvious. So, that in itself, that's a great sort of technical prowess being demonstrated here. You thought it was a modeled background. I'm glad that you said that because it could be that did remove parts of it, add in some of the brown color. The background can be repaired. If somebody looked at this and said, it reminds me of a rug we used to have at our house. It matches my furniture, speaks to me. I can't tell you why. You could always look at the back of it. It's going to be burlap for sure. You could always look at the back of it and say, how much of this could I take out and replace? And am I up for it? Diane says, can RIT color remover be blotted on stained rugs to remove that bleeding? If you're meticulous, you can give it a try. It can. It can. It's usually not 100%. These are really difficult colors too. These are chemical colors for sure, right? This does not look like natural dye colors at all. It might work 80%. I don't know if that would be enough to feel okay about displaying it. Cushing also has a color remover. I don't know if they're still making it, but it's out there in huge numbers, as a vintage item on rug hooking, buying and sell on eBay. That removes color really well as well. You do have to be just like an art restorer. That's foreshadowing to later. You have to be really careful. I would put it on, I would dip like the solution onto a Q-tip, something like that, and dab, 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 or a paintbrush and dab each loop. Stay away from the other colors for the moment. Um, you could even, I mean, if you were really serious about it, you could even get like painter's tape and just stick the edge or the side of the painter's tape along the rows, right? So if you got a little bit, the closest loops touching the rows that still have bleeding or any of the buds, you could use painter's tape that way, just to get a little bit sharper of a line, get the bleeding blotted out closer to. There's so many modern things that you might use and experiment with. And hey, if this rug looked like it was in the two digits, now if it was, 99, would I get it? No way. If I had it in me to experiment with blotting stuff out and doing, color reversal or stain reversal, and I had some products to choose, like maybe I had the Cushing and the Rit, and maybe I was going to try Woolite or some kind of stain stick, Tide stain stick, whatever. Maybe I'm going to try all of them, it just as an experiment. Maybe I'm going to do that and then write an article for Magpie Times about the whole experiment. You see what I did there? Did you see what I did there? Because that would be a great article, wouldn't it? Um, and maybe I mean to do that, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Is the rug then worth like $45? It depends on what your situation is and how interested you are in it. But to me, it would be worth this kind of rug that's this damaged, but otherwise quite beautiful. I think it would be worth it to try something like that. And if you do try something like that, anybody, please document it because it really would make great content for us, on our Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, but also for Magpie. People, a lot of people don't do both, and it's great for people to see what the possibilities are. We all see rugs that are crapped out in the most extraordinary way, and it breaks our hearts, right? All of us, I think. And you want to come up with solutions to be able to save some of these rugs that you see out in the wild. This is not one of them. This is in really good shape, as you can tell. This is like a mid 20th century Pearl Gown school. Somebody had a lot of khaki in the background in khaki, and and the same. And I'm going to show you a little bit closer up. Same person, right, had some color swatches or done some color swatches. So this person knew that they look at red border and the scrolling, beautiful scroll work on the border. Everything but the flowers is really old school. They're definitely using um, thrifted material. And the scroll, the reddish scroll, now that's a textured wool. That's a plaid skirt or something like that that somebody had. And it's only in the white, could be thrifted, could be from the store, milled wool from the store. But certainly there's some swatch action happening in those extraordinary flowers. Diane says, pull out stained loops, remove color. Oh, I see. You can do that too, and rehook it. You can do that too. And the thing that you have to think about if you're going to do that scenario, can you work harder at getting the stain out if you remove the offending loops? Yes. And time, let's just say time is not a thing. The only thing you want to be careful about in that scenario is what condition is the burlap in? Is me pulling out the strips and rehooking it going to be the straw that broke the camel's back with this particular rug? Is it how likely is it I'm going to damage the backing now as well as the wool? That's the question. And you only know when you look at the back and maybe you pull a little bit out and you go, oh, it's super brittle. It's been wet lots. It's super brittle. Better not do this, right? And then you want to get in there like daubing it as opposed to taking it out. But if you take some of it out and you think to yourself, you know what? I think if I'm careful, we do ginger times, right? Everything really careful, it might be okay. You have to make that call when you see the piece and when you start experimenting with the piece. It's definitely worth a try because you can really blast the bad color out or just replace it. If you're rehooking it anyway, you could just replace it. Cecile says, is the pattern called Hope Chest by Pearl McGowan? Let me see. Cecile, I think you know something I don't know. I'm going to open my phone and I'm going to take a picture of it and put it into my Google Lens. And let's see. What a beautiful name for a pattern. Cecile, I think you're onto something. I'm opening Google Lens and seeing if it'll tell me anything about this one. Might not. Um, Similar to pieces. No, I'm not getting there immediately, but it might well be, and maybe you're already familiar with this pattern. I would say it's 90% chance it's a McGowan pattern as opposed to any of the other makers from this period, just because there's so many more McGowans than anything else, right? But let's look at this a little bit closer up because while this looks like maybe one of many types of rugs in this style that you have seen of this period, I think there's a few other things going on. Sorry, I'm struggling with the dashboard, and it might be that while I struggle, you're seeing glitching. That's entirely possible. Let's come in a little bit closer. So this is what you fully expected the center motif to look like, without a doubt, right? Oh, Cecile says I may have the pattern. I will find it tomorrow. Will you? And let me know or make a post if you go onto Facebook. We would love to see that. That would be a great follow-up. And if you do make a post, write in the post like a reference to, gallery night so people can look. Oh, yes. It is a lovely pattern, and that really is a perfect name for it. The center is done specifically in that very careful, realistic style, but the border is very different. We're seeing that sort of fatigue color, that military, sort of army type green color. And you are seeing a close up of the reddish border it's got to be a garment thing. Fine. I wouldn't say the finest. Say this is maybe like a four, maybe. Yeah, I think probably a four. I don't think it can be a five, but I also don't think it's a three. So it's just beautiful. The outlining on it is beautiful. Thank you, Cecile. That'd be super. Very pretty. I love that it's a mix of things, that rug that we just looked at. That's the place we've been looking at, that stone house in Chester, Vermont. And does it also stop your heart, each and every one of you, when you walk into a place like this and you look down the expanse of aisle and think, wow, I might see anything in these stalls, right? And there's a bunch of aisles. For me, these moments are so exciting, and I move like a predator through the aisles. I just want to see hooked pieces, and I'm not sure that this is in the same place. It might be, but this is another nice one. This one seems higher, a little bit higher pile, and I'm thinking that this is all yarn. Some clues in the border there on the right. I think I saw this one in Oh, is it Lawrence? I think maybe Lawrence, Mass. No, no, Greenfield. I think Greenfield. There's a multi-dealer antique store in Greenfield. It's two floors. It's actually three floors. I just can't go in the basement. It's too smelly. But they often have rugs there too. A little less higher end. Prices are great, but you don't see like kind of quality that you see in some other places. But they always have a lot of rugs, and I think this is one of the ones I saw there. Pretty sure that this is yarn hooked, just because I'm getting a latch hook feel, like a shag feel from it. Is that a deterrent? No. And this is a fixable rug. This rug is beautiful. I love the color choices here. It might be that this is a kit. It certainly looks like a 20th century department store sort of rug kit where it would be kitted for you. The colors would all be coordinated because we're moving very close to like um, copies at this point, right? We're getting that sort of Oriental style border, very elaborate. We're holding onto the folky images like baskets and vases in the center, but we are looking at a very elaborate border. And those kinds of borders are hat tips to ethnic rugs that were very popular in the 50 years leading up to this time. And are still and probably always will be because they're almost like neutrals. So this border is touching more on that. I wouldn't say it's in fantastic condition. I think I have some more. Yes. It has been, I don't think this is a clipped rug. I think this is a worn down rug, although I can't be sure. We can only guess. We are seeing some wool for sure because you can see it worn down. It's like worn down to a nub. We're seeing the cross section of the wool. So it looks to me like the loop part has been worn off in many places. There is weird loss in other places, but you do see in the flowers and a little bit of green up north, the purple flowers, the whitish centers, that's definitely yarn, and it has frayed over time, but it still is vibrant to look at. Is this a rug you would want to display? Kind of depends. It has a dingy quality because it has been on the floor for a long time. Is it any less spectacular? Is it any less of a feat of artistry? No, it's absolutely beautiful and it served its function, which was to be on the floor and to keep feet warm. But yeah, it's definitely maybe half a day. It really depends on. Sorry. Oh, is that a different one? I guess a different one. Yeah, I think I'm probably glitching because my dashboard's really slow. Yeah, you can see all the nuances here. You can see the different pieces, different materials, different colors that are introduced. It is a lovely rug. So much work has gone into this, and it would have been a showstopper, a living room, come and see it company showstopper back in the day, for sure. So, okay, so let's see. Um, Gosh, it looks like there might be problems. Let me see if I'm glitching. I feel okay. My dashboard is glitching. Let's see what happens next. So hang in with me there as we do a little bit of a struggle. I want to see that one. There we go, disappear. And did we? Yep, we saw that one. So we are on to this guy. A little bit more of the same rug, getting more of an Eiffel. Um, from a distance, if you had this hanging up, it would be a very colorful rug. I don't know what kind of flowers those are that look like peppermints, the red and the white. I know somebody knows. Reminds me of a pansy, but I don't know that pansies come in this color. Also, the blue and the white. Really charming and very graphic handling of this piece that says way more Aunt Lydia to me than it says Pearl McGowan. Maybe it says something different to you, but lovely rug, really lovely rug. And as you can see in this shot, some relief, right? There is some high relief in the center of the flowers again. And I really believe that this is a kit, this image. And I think it probably told you how to hook and how to try to achieve different heights if you were actually making this piece. Because we do see a lot of these. I see a lot and with a lot of height differences. So let petunias, maybe petunias. Yeah, good one. Yeah, could definitely be petunias. Thank you. This one was in, oh, this one was in the Queechee, Vermont, in the, what is it called? Vermont Antiques Mall. That's one of my favorite ones. There's always rugs there too. This to me looks like, at first glance, like it was Chetty Camp, but I don't think it is. I think this is regular hooking. It is a larger size. It was probably about 12 or 13 across, slightly larger. It's a cheap camp style subject, but it looks like regular hooking, doesn't it? It doesn't have the cheap camp at all. It's very formulaic. It has this sort of typewriter hooking, right? Dot 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 dot. But it doesn't strike me as a very thin um, yarn or wool, right? It's I think wool, but it doesn't look Cheticamp to me. But it is super lovely. And here's a great opportunity for me to take a drink with a straw and also remind you, Cheticamp, the two classes that BettyAnn Cormier is teaching through ribbon candy hooking are coming up. The next one's coming up on Monday. And there's another one coming up as soon as I get back from Cape Cod in June. There is a link in the description of this video. Um, when is it? June 10th, Wednesday, June 10th. So one coming up on Monday, one coming up on June 10th. They are independent of each other. You can certainly, if the kit doesn't come in time, you could certainly ask about, if you want to do the later one, you could certainly ask about logging on to this one if you'd rather get invested sooner rather than later. It is a wonderful opportunity to be able, for such a great price, to be able to learn Cheticamp with BettyAnn. She's going to be on for 2 hours. She recorded a short video. Did you see it on the Ribbon Candy Hooking YouTube channel? About an hour before we drove over here, she sent me a beautiful video of herself describing the class and saying she's very excited to teach this class. Because Chetty Camp is named, is it's a location name, And she's up there in that part of Nova Scotia, and she comes from like a long like line of Chetty Camp hookers, mat makers, right? She's so excited to be able to share this, and there is a huge stampede on these classes and on people who want to learn Chetty Camp with Betty Ann and work on Kirsten's Chetty Camp book. So that's all moving forward. That's all happening. If you're interested, ask, because what a lot of fun to jump in and look for that video where Betty Ann, it's a 1 minute video where she's describing the class and inviting you, in her own charming way to say, come, come and learn it. This is like, it's a great thing to know how to do. She feels very confident that in 2 hours she'll be able to show you this very traditional, romantic, and historic technique, rug hooking technique. And then you decide how you want to incorporate it into your work, or if you just want to say, good, I know how to do that. Good, I learned Spanish. Now I can speak it. Great. Whether I do or not, very happy that I learned it. Remember how important it is to keep your brain sharp as we all get older. Learning new things, trying new things, that is the answer, as John Lennon would say, right? That is the answer. So be looking for that class and be thinking about that, because that is coming at you fast. So not a Chetty Camp, but certainly feels a little bit in the style of, I'm going to go whizzing through because I want to look at some other stuff. This is a close up, so certainly not Chetty Camp. But look at the different materials in there. It looks to me like there's some knits in there. Is that how you feel too? The shiny door, I'm not sure what material that is. It looks like a synthetic blend, and so does a lot of it look like a synthetic blend knit, which is, it might be pantyhose. Not really sure. I don't think so. It would be more like tights or stockings. Wouldn't be fine, right? Because I can see the stitching in it. But lots of interesting and different materials here in this piece. Really love it. Really different. And I didn't get any of these, right? Because we're going on vacation soon and it's a busy summer. I've got Joss in camp twice, so I'm not looking to buy stuff. So this is still here if you're interested. You know what? When we look in the snow, to me that looks like a knit again, right? It looks like a woven knit that has some kind of stretch quality. What do you think about this character in the horse? Some people might look at this and say, I think it's too, maybe some of it's faded or there's not enough definition. It's a bit too anonymous. To me, I really like it. This is this is not an antique rug, right? I would think this is a late 20th century rug, and always meant to be a wall hanging, so it's in great condition. But this is a classic sort of Canadian style rug to me, where the maker is picking out. It looks like the person is feeding something to the horse, and a little bit of is lost or maybe so stylized, right? Look at the horse's legs. The person who made this was not maniacal about having to have everything be perfectly articulated. They were okay with mixing and blending similar browns, might even be from the same garment, like something that changed color, like a striped shirt, something like that. But they were okay with a minimal amount of information, right? The loops are giving us a minimal amount of information, and yet, this is the same rug, like a little bit higher up, and yet we can make out that there's a figure, there's a horse, and there's some. We can make it out. The horse can say, yeah. I mean, it's stylized, it's simple, and it's lovely. This is another close up, just showing different materials. I always take lots of pictures of these things to share. This is another one. Honestly, I can't remember where this was, but this is another beautiful large rug. I think this is the place in Greenfield again. I was interested in this one, but I didn't need it. And when you look at this, um, what to you are some of the most standout qualities? Like, I'm saying I was interested and curious about this for a few minutes. It was a very large rug. That's my enormous purse, that purple purse right there. That's my enormous purse, and the rug is much bigger. This is a hearth rug size, much, much wider than you think, right? Right, to go right across a very old hearth. Is this a 19th century rug? Maybe. It might be, maybe early 20th century rug, but man, that marbling background is so stunning. I wish I could. I wouldn't have anywhere to put it. But isn't that stunning, seeing that color change? Isn't that what we want? for people who collect different stuff, metal stuff, whatever, they wait for the patina to happen. You dye your hair a crazy color and you're like, oh, I like it when it gets that in between color. It takes time. Same thing with us in our rugs, right? It takes a long time to be able to see this kind of color variation in the background of what was once a solid black rug. And when it finally happens, it really is a gem. It's just beautiful. I think it's really striking. That is, I think, the standout feature of this rug. Coming in second are these beautiful roses and the way that they are stylized. They're not super realistic, but they are gorgeous. They are pretty. They are charming. They are all a similar shape, right? They are just very decorative and lovely. And the leaves in this rug, you've got warm greens, you've got celery greens, sage greens, country greens, gray greens. Really beautiful. It is a beautiful rug. The more I look at it, the more I wish I spent more time thinking about it. I think I just thought, I just don't have anywhere to put stuff like this. And it was not on the floor, which isn't my favorite. I feel like, hey, if you want to sell this, keep whatever's happened to it in the past, that can't be changed, but put it somewhere where it's safe now. Because if we're regarding it as a piece of art, people are not going to want to put things of this age down on the floor. They won't last. And if you have any pets, right, dogs or cats, it's just not a good idea. Diane says fluffy garlands, uh, nicely balance in visual weight, in my opinion, on the big rose rug. I completely agree with that. There is something very lush. This is almost certainly a commercial pattern. I mean, I'd bet a lot on it. There's something very lush about this rug, but it's still quite unpredictable because that background color is very engaging. The color change on the leaves as well, I think, is very engaging. If you were to color plan this, you might be going nuts trying to get all of the leaves on one sort of rows to be the same. This person was not feeling like they needed to go nuts with that. They were totally fine with color change because they knew that the greens would hold their own, like as a unified front. All of the greens make leaves, all of the pinks make roses, and all of those blacks make a black background. It must have been really very Claire Murray, very 1980s, very striking in its day. But I have to admit, I prefer to see this. I prefer to see it aged, right? It's beautiful aged like this. It really was a spectacular rug. Here's a couple more in the same place. These are one of them is folded over. There's one with the black. No, well, there's two of them, and one of them is folded over. To be honest, I can't remember where one started and the other ended. I think it was 100 or just over 100 for both. These were large and they were like runners. Diane says, I would have to drink all of Dave's cider to hook that big rug, right? Yeah, I mean it would get old um at a certain point. But isn't it interesting with those backgrounds that we can see that the colors have given way? It seems that that people more often than not didn't do like fill in areas. They did a little bit here and then ran out and then did a little bit more. They weren't trying to fill like the center out. They were probably thinking it's black. No one is ever going to know that I'm like switching out the blacks because it's all black, not anticipating that the thing would survive in 100 plus years and that we would be looking at it going, I see all the different blacks that you use. It's such a gift to be able to see that. It's like taking an x-ray of something that has that kind of age, and we know what that means, right? We're looking at the x-ray and making the diagnosis. Oh, it's just old, right? That's all it is. Catherine, I would have a drink just to start it. Absolutely. I have plenty to share. Dave's in Toronto. We know where to go, right? Oh, Goretti, great to see you. Great to see you. I was late too. I was having such times, but we got there in the end. And I know I'm a little bit glitchy, but I'm going to keep going. And I understand that the playbacks are okay. So in any case, these two rugs were the same shape, slightly different colors. One of them was more brown, one of them was more black. Other than that, they were quite matchy match. They'd always been down on the floor. Little bit of damage on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 3 kind of thing. They looked like older. They looked like 20th century rugs to me, but more like I would say 1960s for these. They don't strike me as 70s rugs, but they also color wise and just the decisions on the flowers and for example the way the leaf is filled in, much more of a 1960s aesthetic than 1950s. It doesn't have the fines of the 1950s. So these are just gauges, right? Could be wrong. One of the things I thought was really interesting about this pair of rugs, and again, I did not get these. I was tempted because they were in good enough condition that I thought they could go down on the floor in the basement, in my work area, and I wouldn't feel particularly bad stepping on them because they're not insanely expensive. As a pair, it's nice to have. Now I'm talking myself into it and sad that I didn't get them. But I think I would have constantly been worried if the cat was like going to town on them, which she would be. If she realized that she could get her nails into the loop, she would be going to town. But they were lovely. And I think the thing that I like the most about these rugs, two things. I don't particularly like the flowers, I have to admit, as much as I love 60s art. I love the very dainty hit or miss around the edges. That says to me this person had two of the same commercial pattern, and these are long. They're not ovals, they're much longer rugs. I think that they hooked further than the pattern offered and just did hit or miss in the edge just to make the rugs a little bit bigger. I think they adapted it themselves, right? And they just added a little bit, probably as much as they could before they got to the edge. I think that is so sweet. And just because there's not a lot of room for hit or miss, isn't it neat how they just did the stripies? Like it looks good, doesn't it? I really like that effect and I feel like I know what this person was up to, just trying to gain like a few inches to make the rugs a little bit bigger. And it was a great idea. They had enough material to do some hit or miss that way. Wondering if I took some more close-ups because what I really want to show you, let me come back here for just a second. Look at the scrolls. Like look at the static quality of the scrolls. You know that that's a textured fabric. Like that's a skirt or some slacks that someone cut up. That's textured. And when you look even closer at the scrolls, it became even more interesting to me. See the hot pink? So 60s, right? And that bright sort of sunshine yellow, also so 60s. So I'm thinking someone was cutting up clothing and hooking it into this rug. They had access to white, a lot of white in the background. So might be someone who had a stash or they knew what they were doing. They definitely had a cutter. This cannot be cut with scissors, right? So this is someone who did rug hooking, but also understood and celebrated the thrifty element of rug hooking. They used some yardage, right? Because these are large rugs. They must have had yardage for the white. Nothing else makes sense. But you can see that they liked the hit or miss quality in the border and the scrolls and they used stuff they already had for those areas. Little bit of bleeding in these rugs too. Of course, they're down on the floor. You walk in with wet shoes, right? It's going to be a problem. Diane says, I perfectly love that border pattern, like a thatch. Yet it was really curious the way that they did hit or miss in that border. It zany, right? Like all of the diagonals were a bit zany. Again, these scrolls are so clever. I'm thinking those plaids could be cotton. Do you feel like that too? That they're too particular. They're too crisp. Those loops to be wool. I think they're cotton. I see way higher thread count than we would see in wool. So just interesting. And for me, getting these close-ups and seeing the pink kept drawing me to them. I actually rolled the rugs up and put them off to the side in case I decided to come back and buy them, and I didn't. I just couldn't justify it. Just moving this down a little bit for you. I think this was in the same store. It was upstairs in the same store in Greenfield, Mass, right on the main street, big antique store. But, this is somebody was working in again, the Cheticamp style, right? Certainly not with the materials, but typewriter. Do, 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 ding, return, right? So really, this has a formula. They were filling it in like it was cross stitch, and maybe it was someone who was cross stitch, and they didn't know how to do hooking, and they thought, well, I'm going to do it like cross stitch. What else makes sense? Uh, it makes perfect sense, really. Um, this was done with something more unrefined, like roving. Somebody probably had animals, got the pattern on burlap, thought, well, this is wool, I'm going to give it a shot, and did this. And it was very, very pretty. because it's very unrefined. It was, you know, um, I normally don't mind about the height of the loops, but with a piece like this where everything is quite a similar tonal value, it becomes a little bit confusing for my eye to see, and maybe not to you. Maybe you look at it and you think, Viva the variety, right? It looks wacky. It looks maybe a little bit amateurish, and maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's a sweet thing. The pattern is lovely. That little head, the perfect beak pointed down. If the chaos of the different loop heights doesn't bother you, then you would love this piece. I can't see the price, but I don't think it was very much at all. It definitely has something. I'm not putting it down because it's very woolly, and it was a little bit pilly, just a little bit. This is like natural colors, right? This looks like someone doing natural dyeing with sheep wool or something that they already had. And yeah, I mean, now again, I'm talking myself into this one too. It was there last time I went, like a year ago too. So it's probably still there in Greenfield upstairs. But it's a small piece. I think it's about 12, 13 inches square. There is something to be said for working this style. Let me see if I have a second one. And if not, no, let's not do that yet. Hold on. I want to look at that together. Let me see if I can make this one just a little bit bigger so you can see what I mean. Because if you look at it and you think, you know what? I like the craziness of those loops. What's the problem? Because I hook a lot with roving and bat, right? You know I do. And oh, look at the eye. They did a little red thing in the eye for a little more detail. But you see what I mean? It's a little bit pilly, has a bit of an alpaca feel to it, actually. Like it has a bit of a Peruvian hanging feel to it. But I think this is hooked. I think this is hooked with like natural fibers, and the thought of spinning it and refining it was not on the cards time wise. Has a little bit of a Chinese feel to it too, that very fine sort of stem of the tree. It is lovely. Stick on bird area is confusing to you. Yeah, the what's happening with the stick in the body is a little bit confusing. And color wise, we don't have a lot of cues. This is a great piece to try to touch up with a little paintbrush. Like, if the bird was picked out a little better, it'd be a little easier to see. But you notice how much color variation there is in the background, right? That says to me pure sheep colors, like different whites and grays and sort of yellowy grays, different animals, different sheep colors. It is cool. There's a lot of great things about it. Is it polished and refined and tidy? No, it's none of those things. Is it disastrous? No. It has many things for us to talk about and think about, and it's offering us this very loose material, this very unrefined wool material as an option, and it's showing us this piece is not new, right? So worst case scenario, fast forward on your hooked roving 50 years, and it might look like this, but it might look a little bit more even if you hook it more evenly, right? Something to think about. It's an exciting piece. Oops, oops, oops. No, don't you dare delete. Now, this is another thing I sort of regretted as soon as I drove away. I saw this in Deerfield, Massachusetts, and it's obviously the three bears, right? So this is one of the two most popular ever 19th century Garrett blue nose patterns, and it was also done by other, people late 19th, early 20th century. The three bears done this way. So this is a very old rug hooking pattern, but as far as I know, and as far as I was able to research, and I did, this is a rug hooking pattern, right? We always see hooked rugs after paintings, right? Or after whatever, other rugs, after other things, but we never see it in reverse. We never see a painting after a hooked rug. You just don't see it. This is the one. This, I think, was, I think $50. It was maybe 13, 15 across. And I picked it up because I'm like, I'm having it. This is so cool. I love the three bears. It's new, it's like it's 20th century. Um, but I was like, oh, I love it. Now I really wish I bought it. I really wish I bought it. But again, I'm like, do I need it? Do I want to spend 50 on something right now? We were just coming back from Vermont, and I thought, do I really need it? And in the end, I thought, need it. Do I need it? So I left it. I do regret it because I did really like it, and I would have hung it because it has the original Garrett blue nose, like, from that period. and it's painted, like it's all painted up and it's beautiful. Well, if it's there next time I go, I'm going to grab it. But I really liked it, and I thought it was funny, and I thought you'd get a chuckle out of it because, yeah, this is the rare instance of someone being so inspired by Hook Drug that they made a painting out of it. So, just a reminder, the reason I was in Vermont doing this road trip from, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, was because I was here at the Green Mountain as the keynote speaker doing, their anniversary event, which was so beautiful. You can see here in the background, I've got a big slide projector going with, my husband was on the slide projector talking at the very beginning about old rugs, and was a wonderful talk. It was a lot of fun being with all of the buddies there. That is the reason I was there. I have to show you this one as well, just because I know you know what this is, but my kids are mystified when they see this piece of wizardry from the past. They could not believe that there was a jukebox at our table at this diner on the way home, and that they play the funniest songs. We ended up playing. Joss played for Teddy the Rolling Stones song "Paint It Black," which I'm not. I gotta admit, you're gonna hate me for this. I'm a huge Beatles fan, but I'm not a big Rolling Stones fan. Their music is just a bit too 60s. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the 60s sound, like that pop sound. Um, but I do love the Beatles eternally. But I love Paint It Black. And that's also Teddy's favorite Rolling Stones song. He loves, like, also along the same lines, like Golden Brown and songs like that. He loves 50s music too, which is also, sorry, not my super favorite. And of course, there's a whole mix of all of that kind of music in these jukebox selections. But there's also like David Bowie. There was Weird Al Yankovic, right? I think I told you that already. But it was super fun. It was just it's fun having these experiences with the kids and taking these road trips. And God, I hope it means something to them, right? I think it does, even though sometimes they're bored. I just wanted to show you the day that I got home, or in the next couple of days that we got home. My sister was speaking at the British Art Center in at Yale, so we went back again. My mother and I and some of the buddies from the church went back to hear her speak, and she was talking about some specific. This is my sister on the right here, and my horrible legs on the left. No matter how thin I get, I always have the worst legs. It's just the way it is, whatever. Happy with everything else, who cares, right? But it was a lot of fun going to hear her talk. And part of her talk, for those of you who remember, I forget Jane something, I'm never going to remember. But do you remember maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I did a video with my sister that was a couple hours long, and it's there in the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel. She was coming to me over Zoom. I feel like it was COVID time, and the conversation was about color, and it was about the difference between creating color from natural pigments or chemical pigments for dyeing fiber versus for creating paint, right? So still using pigments and mixing them into a medium, but in her case for painting restoration, and in my case to dye wool for our rug hooking. So that video is one of the videos that has gotten the most views because it has a lot of crossover interest, I think. Very good conversation, long video. If you also like fine art, the thing about this piece and the whole talk, that's the recorded one that's still there for you, revolves around some things that were going on with this art piece, like that extravagant, expensive lace ruff that had been starched within an inch of its life, right? Very luxury. Did young girl, this was like a young teenager. So she would be marriageable age, but a quite young teenager. I'm not talking about like a 17-year-old. I'm talking about she's much younger than that. Why, if you're wondering why are her boobs out? Well, this is part of the high fashion, right? We see Vogue does stuff like this. They did things like this back in the day. This was not for everybody. The person who made your bread did not have her boobs out, I can guarantee. But royal people and titled people, they did. This is part of the fashion. And part of the reason was they wanted you to see their veins. If you can see those blue veins, right? That was part of it. They wanted to display these kinds of things because it was and the white skin was a mark of like, I don't go in the sun at all. I am an indoor cat, right? I don't need to work. I don't see the sun, right? So they're exhibiting that. She's also wearing two parts, right? This is not a dress. This is a skirt with a top of some sort, right? Some kind of a bodice. Um, and they're two different materials that are loaded with gold. But if you remember this video, look at her skirt, right? The weird pattern on her skirt. That's what our video, for the most part, was about. The recorded video, it's sea monsters. And it was such a weird choice, right, to have a skirt that was made out of sea monsters. So much luxury displayed in this thing. But the reason I wanted to remind you was because I was reminded because of the gallery talk that this video existed. And it was a great favorite when it came out years ago. A lot of people loved it. And this, I put a sort of rendition of this exact, obviously, this is out of copyright. It's like from the 1500s. And can you believe that this painting is from the 1500s? I mean, look at how perfect it looks, right? Of course, she restores stuff, but they don't restore stuff wildly. They let things age within reason until it becomes like dangerous, you know. Hasn't been like scrubbed clean, that's for sure. But we thought at the time that the sea monsters were really interesting, and I created a rug hooking pattern that weirdly a lot of people did because it was a tough pattern and it was meant to be like a pillow. And I know a lot of people hooked it up, made it into a pillow, but that's there for you too. And I thought that might be interesting to think about, right? Oh, I've got stuff going this weekend, but I'm always looking for the possibility of hooking sea monsters, right? So I've got to find my way back to where we were. But since I clicked on this slide, just a reminder that the Chetty Camp class that I just mentioned that's coming up with BettyAnn Cormier, May 18th and June 10th, this is the kit that it comes with, this specific class. Comes with this kit that Kirsten has designed, and this is the yarn that's in it, right? One ply and drawn onto the backing, right? This is what it looks like. One of my favorite patterns of all time. Oh, Kirsten, thanks. It is such a weird one. And I loved it too, just because of its place in history. It way predates us as rug hookers. Hold on just a second while I search for. Okay, yep, I think, hold on. I'm just going to go back a little bit further. Um, Okay, yep. I think we're almost there. Yes, got it. So let's go back to Vermont. And I wanted to show you, I think some of this will spill over into Monday. I took, I didn't take these photos. My husband took these photos because I was talking. And then after I was talking, there was a lot of buddies to visit with. There was like 100 people there. So there's a lot of buddies to visit with. You know, to be honest, after we left, he said, "Oh, did you see the rugs in the back?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "There was a bunch of rugs in the back on the floor." And I said, "Oh man, I bet it was a throwdown." And he's like, "Oh, I took pictures of all of them." And I thought, do I really want to go back in and whatever? Because I knew the kids were waiting for us at the hotel. But it turned out, thank you, Aryan, he took beautiful pictures of these rugs. So I have them to share with you and for me to look at them this way too. Some of them I had seen before, and at least one of them you all have seen before. I'm going to stretch this one open a little bit, but you can see on the tag it says Upper Valley Group Rug in Progress. So this is a group rug that people are working on together, and you can see yeah, they're about a third of the way through, maybe heading toward half. But what a beautiful piece. Did I click off of it? Wait a minute. Nope. I think we're good. Hold on, let me just make sure. Yep, I think we're good. What a great group project. I don't know what the premise is because there's a lot going on, different directions. You see the snake, you see the rooster, you see the bird, you see the cat. Like, I don't know what the group project is, what sort of the outline of the project is in terms of like what is the content or what is the challenge. But man, so far so good. It's such an unusual rug, isn't it? Kirsten, do you know anything about this rug? Um, yeah, I just love it. Color wise, the themes seem very sampler to me, like we're kind of mixing and matching themes. And it does look like different people are working on them. For example, the cat with the cat's paw background, right? Circles within circles are called cat's paw. That to me is a great match with the cat. But we're seeing the same sort of background green, that stony green, as we are the completely different row of trees next to it. And very similar blue, although this one is textured to the blue that's used up top. Different people hooking for sure, because look at the bird that's sort of in the middle. Kirsten doesn't know this story. This is a to be continued. But look at the bird with the kind of swirling feather tail. That's a very hit or miss style. That's quite different again. So yeah, clearly there's different people working on this. It'll be interesting to know what happens next with this. I'm very curious. It's a gorgeous piece. This piece we did see. This is Ildy's piece. Ildy, do you see the name on the bottom? We looked at this when I went to the, oh gosh, what was it? It was Massachusetts, not Concord. Bedford. It was Bedford, Massachusetts. I went to that hook in, and remember, I took a picture of this extraordinary piece, Ildy's sunflower. I took a picture of it, but there was sun behind it, the way that it was hung, and I felt like we couldn't see it particularly well. Let me see if I took a closer. No, let me get. Well, you can see the side of it here. That very high relief proddy piece. Um, it's absolutely gorgeous, but we couldn't see it really well. I'm going to make this one just a little bit bigger because this is an opportunity. She did so much different stuff with height. She was lovely. I met her for the first time at the Vermont event, and she was just lovely. Look at what she's got going on here. All of that lush proddy hooking. And then you see how I'm going to make it bigger one more time, how she clipped the center of the sunflower. What interest, right? Remember in the very center, she did the needle felting. Isn't that stunning? Now, what do you think is going on the edge in the background? What do you think is going on? I'm wondering if that's sewn down because I'm not really seeing loops. Are you seeing loops there? I'm seeing lots of polka dot. Makes me feel like that might be stitched down. Do you think I'm wrong there? I don't think it's door sparkle wool because the sparkles are way too intermittent for this. But I'm not really seeing loops with this. So I might be wrong. But whatever it is extraordinary. Look at that great colored background against this colorful sunflower. Isn't it stunning? It is delicious, isn't it? And I know you understand why that. The background is hooked, Kirsten says. All right, let's do one more. Gosh, what did she hook with? I wonder if it is quilt fabric. I'm going to do one more. It's like a little bit out of focus, which is weird. It should be way out of focus for the size that I've made it. So different. It is wool from Gail Dufresne that has a thread of white polyester running through it. No way. God, Kirsten, thank you. It is bonkers pretty. Bonkers pretty. And look at the close up of the clipped center, right? That's a really small cut there, probably a 3. That clipped center of variegated wool, all these different colors. It's so pretty. And some of the Prati is multicolored too. It is really so pretty. Kirsten, thank you for that. That's super helpful. I told Ildy how much we enjoyed seeing this piece after the Bedford show. We're seeing it even closer up. In this example. I'm going to just drag this up just a little bit. Oh, I can't see the tag. So this is Catty Catty. Very good. And this, oh, sorry, this is Gail Duclos Lapierre. And my photo is cut at the bottom. I think we're seeing the important part. Wow, what an epic work of skill and patience making a caddy. This is a lot of work. Can you imagine? If some of you are just more patient than I am, you're maybe thinking, this is a cool idea. I think I'm doing that. I wonder if she covered an existing caddy. Do you think? I don't know. And because I didn't see this in person, I didn't get the chance to ask that question. But I would think, sorry, I'm really tired today. It's been a hell of a few days. Oh, Kirsten says of the sunflower piece, Ildy has an article on this piece in the next GMR. Oh, Green Mountain Rug Hooking Guild newsletter. Okay, cool. I'll look for that and I'll share that. And Kirsten, if you get it, can you let me know? Because I think I receive it, but I just want to be sure I don't miss it in case like I'm expired or something like that. It's awful to be expired. But, with a piece like this, I would say to myself, it needs to be over something quite rigid for it to be utilitarian. So, does it make sense to cover it? How would you cover if say that this is a real caddy, say it's plastic and you found it at Home Goods or Ocean State Job Lot or whatever. Let's say, you know, let's say it's that. You would just get paper, like printer paper, and just fold it, press it up against the various pieces, and then trace it, right? Get a good feel for it, trace it, cut it out, make sure that your lines are accurate. If they're not, do it again. And of course, you have to size up a little bit because of edges, and you have to add a seam allowance, at least a 1/4 inch, if not a little bit more. I do a little bit more with a rug hooking background. I would do more like a 1/2 inch at least. Um, it would be an easy thing to do once you get your head into it, right? Once you figured out what you needed to do, you could grab all these pattern pieces and just go err on the cautious side, right? Do a little bit of extra. Once you piece it all together, particularly at the outside corners and the inside corners, sorry, I'm being gross. It will fit together nicely, but you can fully expect with a piece like this, it is technically difficult, the sewing part of it. You might need to make some adjustments. You might put it together and some of it is just not dovetailing. Is it a wind up when that happens? Oh God, it's the worst wind up when that happens. But if you're committed to getting the project done like Gail was, you can create something truly beautiful like this. And wouldn't you love to put your hooks in this? Wouldn't you love to bring this and show it off at your next guild meeting? It is so cute. I wonder if it says cat got your tongue. I'm thinking it does, right? So cute. The cat is really cute too. Sorry, hiding its little eyes with its little tail. Really pretty piece. This is another gorgeous piece. I think the buddy who was working on this, I might be wrong. Let me see if I can stretch this one. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I am wrong. I think the piece I'm thinking of was more patterny. And I think you would remember it too. Oh boy, hang on. Let me see if we can get the tag in here so I can say whose piece this is. My something rug. One more time. Let's go one more time. My, oh, I can't see it with my glasses. Can you see it? My something rug. Um, can you see who that is? Does it say Marie Ann or Mary Ann Daly, something like that? If anybody can see, and if you might write it, that would be great. Let me make it small again. I just wanted to grab that. Oh, but you know what I just learned by extending it? Look at the way that this is whipped. Oh, holy smokies. How cool is that? Look at the colorful whipping, not around all of it, just around the centers. Let's look at what the takeaway of this is when we look at the whole hit or miss piece. Now, is this truly a hit or miss piece? This is a conversation we've been having a lot lately. It could be quite hit or miss, but I would guess that there is some degree of thoughtfulness, sorry, one more time, going into it because it's such good hit or miss. You know what I mean? Look at that. So she has got the color changing, whipping north, south, and then two occurrences of it on east and west. It is a really cool hit or miss. Look at the way some of the shapes are kind of misshapen, blobby, almost like watered silk. Isn't that stunning? It is really different. You know, there is great contrast between dark and light. So while I feel it is more of a hit or miss than some hit or misses we see, I think it does have some thoughtful placement as well. Not all of it. Look at the top row, the furthest on the right, the amount of blue that's in that one makes me wonder. And traveling, hey Ted, your eye traveling down from there. Here he comes. You're gonna come sit down for a second.
Yeah.
Traveling to there's my man. He's yawning like crazy. I'm so tired, Ted.
That's all good.
Tired. Is it all good? I had such an emotional struggle while you were getting your pizza trying to get this thing online. I was really struggling. I really needed your expertise and you were getting your pizza. How was it?
Good. I really like the pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like it's his favorite food in the world is Gami's pizza.
Mhm.
So Kirsten says hi. Look at your buddies are saying hi, Ted.
Thanks.
He's in a pretty happy mood. You weren't in that good of a mood later. I'm happy that you're
Oh yeah.
feeling more upbeat.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, love you, baby.
Love you, mom.
He's so sweet.
Bye.
Teddy then. He a good boy. He's such a good and Joss stayed home. She's gonna come tomorrow, but she needed some downtime. So she stayed home with my husband and Buttons the dog, and I'll go pick them up tomorrow and bring them over. We've got a very busy weekend ahead of us. It's a crazy one. In any case, what a beautiful example of hit or miss, right? And we have been seeing some extraordinary hit or misses lately. Maybe it's making you feel like, um, oh, thank you. He'll come back and check the messages again later. He loves feeling like he has a place in this world, and this helps a lot. You know, I don't feel like I have a lot of time in my life for hit or miss. In general, I felt like I did a great hit or miss class a year or two ago, and I felt like it was real helpful for defining what hit or miss is and the many ways that you can do hit or miss, not just like do it or don't do it. There's lots of ways to do hit or miss. But when I see pieces like this, I think to myself, I might need more hit or miss in my life. I mean, I would think that is a general sentiment, particularly when I see whipping like this because I'm not a huge fan of whipping as a choice for my rugs. But when I see that kind of variation, those colorful whip stitches, north, south, and then on the two sides, it really gets me excited. It is a great match for this rug. Um, I wouldn't have thought to do this rug with brown, but having all of those extra colors is really exciting and really continues that the energy of a hit or miss. Really is absolutely gorgeous. Now, here's a few pieces together. So I want to stretch these as well so we have a chance to see who's in the throwdown. So I'm going to travel with you again. I'm going to unlock and come with me here. Let's start over here and let's see how well we do. Okay, that's very good. Boxes designed by Jill Robbins. Jill Robbins, I've been just getting to know her lately, and she will be one of the teachers who teaches multiple times at Tigger. What a lot of great and very different work she does. This one is hooked by Denise. Does it say Connors? I think Connors. But this is a Jill Robbins design. This is great. It reminds me of the quilt pattern called Attic Windows. Beautiful geometric, great optical illusion happening there. Just a beautiful piece. Let's check this one out. This is called Woven, another pattern designed by Jill Robbins. And really, she is known for her geometrics. This is really her uh, area of sort of expertise and flair. She does a lot with plaids and things that look like overshots and wovens. Really special. And again, hooked by Denise Connors, right? Is it Connors or Commons? No, it's Commons, isn't it? I think it is. Absolutely gorgeous. Great color change in this piece as well. Let's come up here and see what we've got. Oh, we've got this one in the corner. Let's do that one. So that is Bonnie. Does that say door or Dover? My second rug, my design. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? You know what? Let me tip it, and then I could always tip it back because I want to look at this a little bit better. It seems like because she put the tag on it that way, that that is the correct orientation. Let me transform and let's go clockwise and come back up here, you little so and so. No, let me get it all in there. And you know what? Isn't look at the carpet in the background. Isn't that like the ultimate movie theater carpet in the back? This is an event space. This is not a movie theater. But don't all movie theaters have carpets like this? It's so distracting to see rugs on this carpet, right? It's like anything would be better. So try to ignore that really loud carpet. I just love this. I love this as a hit or miss piece. And I love that it is Bonnie's own design. I think that says Bonnie. What a great idea. This looks like sort of tessellations, right? You're just doing wavy lines and then you're cutting across. So it has, if it were a quilt, it would be a wobbly one, but it would be a variation on, oh, what's it called? Not spools. Oh, no, what's it called? Quilters. When you have like the wobbles that go top to bottom, side to side, not spools, but something like that. It's a specific quilt pattern. This would be the wobbly version. It's not exactly, but it's all lines that connect. It's basically a wobbly grid. Do you see what I mean? This isn't just random jigsaw. This is lines that connect in a grid pattern. It's just wavy. Really nice. And now consider the hit or miss aspect to this specific piece. It's still hit or miss, but each individual piece is considered its own color palette and its own opportunity to create patterning. And isn't that interesting? This is her second rug and something that she designed. I think this is such a lot of fun, great experiment. There are some great squares in here. Some of them are more, not, they're not squares, but fields. Some of them are more elaborate than others, and I think you need that balance. As a color palette, it's very colorful, but it's not unlimited. Lots of blues, lots of yellows, lots of that sort of avocado blue and rusty reds, right? It's a little bit of orange. It's not completely wacky as a color palette. If you had leftovers from a few pieces, you would be able to do a pattern like this, and you'd be able to say to yourself, well, I think just out of the last couple of pieces I've done, I've got enough to give it a cohesive color palette, a controlled color palette, but be able to do all this experimentation, that falls under the umbrella of hit or miss. This is zany hit or miss. This is like if you were a crazy quilter, you would be thinking about these kinds of patterns. Diane says, how do you store hit or miss materials? Just throwing it all in one bag, collect it from different bags, containers when ready to hook? That is such a personal choice. It's so different from people to people. For me, I tend to put all of my strips, organize them and put them into bags alone within Ziplocs. So Ziplocs within larger bags, but I won't put like my eights in with threes. I put all my threes in one bag and all my eights in another because I don't typically mix. I know a lot of people do. I think most people do, but I typically don't. So I want to know if I'm doing something really fine and I just need a few little strips. I'm going to be looking for that number three hit or miss bag. And I know if I'm doing something with an eight cut, if I'm doing something primitive and I just have a butterfly or hair, I'm going to go to my wide strip bag and look at what my choices are of leftovers there. So I store them that way, but I know a lot of people just put them all together and mix them up. It depends. Yeah, I think you have to think about how you will use them later. And if you think, I'm going to switch it back sideways. If you think transform, okay. Um, if you think you're going to use them all in one pattern, you should just dump them all in like one piece of Tupperware or just make sure that they're airtight because when you've got lots of cut pieces, right, a lot of surface area, if there's any chance that moths come to visit and they love to if they can, they're going to be so interested in stuff that's cut. It's just calling out to them. So make sure, particularly with your cut stuff, that you've really got it stored well in plastic. So it won't be compromised. But if it is compromised, just put it into the freezer for 3 or 4 days. And when it comes out, there won't be anything alive in it. There won't be live moths or eggs or disgusting larvae or whatever. So if that does happen, it's not the end of the world. You just put it away and check all your other stuff and just get it into the freezer. Get it outside, get it into the freezer. But yeah, and I'd be curious to hear what other people's ideas are for storing their hit or miss supplies because it grows into a lot. And I know people and my friend Linda Ann is one of them. She just did that 8 foot long runner. I know people who routinely, and I think some of you on this thread have said this to me, you'll work on a couple of pieces and then you will do a hit or miss project because you've got leftovers. So you will force yourself, or at least to do a hit or miss element to use up those pieces because a lot of people don't want to hold on to pieces. For me, I love having leftover stuff for just the hair, just the butterfly. I'm like, I only need a little bit, right? So I'm glad that I have it. But I know other people either will donate their leftover stuff because they're like not enough bandwidth to hold on to extra crap that I don't know when I'm going to use it, and other people very methodical about storing their leftovers. And yet again, other people saying every third rug, I do a hit or miss because I'm not holding on to extras. So that's the way it has to be. I think the woman I spoke to in Bedford was one of those characters who's like, I do hit or miss on a regular basis because I'm not keeping leftovers. So I'm going to use it. So many ways to think about it, so many things to try. Now, this is another really cute one. My one and only Mary Lee O'Connor, hooked and designed by Mary Lee O'Connor. Super, super cute. My first rug. Super cute. So great to see the first rugs down. Isn't that great? Gorgeous example of a primitive and such attention to detail, right? Beautiful diagonals on the vase or sort of basket. I love the placement of these sort of hooked single flowers, lots of different colors happening there, pretty border with textured wool. And look at that nice marble cake background, mostly whites, but you do see color shifts. Very thoughtful. Lots of techniques in a first rug. Right, there's a lot going on here. Look at the directional hooking on the bowl, and then look at the echo hooking in the background. It mimics the shapes of that it's echoing, right? Around the flower, around the side of the vase. It's mimicking the shape. So it's doing an echo as opposed to the vessel. It's just going straight across. So this is already someone, Mary Lee is already someone who is making decisions about how do I want to hook just that part, right? I'm not hooking it all the same way. I'm just hooking that part. What are my choices? And making a deliberate decision about what you need to do is a really big deal, particularly this early in the game, right? The more questions you ask yourself, the more times you come to a juncture where you make a decision, I think the better your piece is going to be. It does not matter what you decide. It matters that you made a decision, right? That you made a thoughtful choice. That always matters more. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more. And hang on, let me see. Can I? Can she do it? Now, let me unlock. And let's see. Bring it down here. Let's first start on the left at that Christmas rug. I'll probably do one or two more. The tiredness is, well, I'll go to our normal 9. Tiredness is wiping me out today. I wonder why. Some crazy dreams last night. It might be stuff like that. Yeah, I guess I was thinking about the day. Biffy. Wonder if Biffy is the person who hooked that one. Probably, right? Somebody called Biffy. So let's look at the if to me it's a seasonal rug because of the evergreens and the holly, and I think Biffy hooked this rug. She marked it that way. Super lovely. And again, nice conversation here about technique, right? The brown background, we're seeing textured wool for sure. The outlining, we're seeing some kind of a black watch plaid, right? Something that's like navy blue or dark green with bright red and some other colors, right? You're seeing single lines of that doing the geometry here, doing the outlining and the outer border. The trees are very dark and evergreen. We are seeing yet another textured wool in the stumps of the trees. And we are seeing the horizontal directional hooking, something that is got to be a door mill brown and white. They've got so many brown and white checks and window panes. We're seeing that in the background. So there's a lot of neutrals in this rug. The red is not a neutral, and the brown is considered a neutral. So the dark green, not officially a neutral, but when the value is this dark, I would say it's reading as a neutral. So this is a rug really that if you put this down in the holidays, it's gonna match no matter what. It's festive, subject wise, it's very festive, right? It brings a lot of cheer, but at the same time, it is a very controlled pattern. It's very traditional. It's very tidy looking rug, expertly done. It is just a gorgeous piece to be able to bust out around the holidays. Now, I'm going to start down here for this series because this is Jen Davy, and yeah, I did see her and chatted with her. She was phenomenal. 12-inch square grouping, all about color, balance, and DNA connectivity. So I'm sorry the bottom one is cropped a little bit here, the woodpecker. So this is a sort of challenge. Maybe it's a self challenge, maybe it's a group challenge. So we're looking at pieces that are 12 inches tall, not epically huge pieces, right? These are smaller pieces. And the theme is all about color, balance, and DNA connectivity. So we're looking at the strands of DNA, right? The sort of chain or figure 8 connects. Um, Rug patterns that confuse the cat walking around it are fun. That is funny. I missed that comment, Catherine. That is funny. Um, I never thought about that. Woodpecker, right? With the DNA strands. God, these are super artsy pieces. You know that you're in for a treat because there's more above this. Really striking piece. I love the idea of if you are going to do a DNA chain, I love the idea of turning it into something useful. Like it's a vehicle. It's a ladder for the woodpecker. Really smart. Rather than just trying to turn it into a border, Jen is really incorporating the idea of using the DNA as a feature, as a design feature in each piece. She's not just relegating it to the sides or the corner and saying, there, it's included. She's really incorporating it. So and the main character in the piece is really interacting with the DNA. The woodpecker is climbing it. Also an interesting piece because of the color blocking in the background. The red, right? There are some deliberate choices about changing to from a sort of cranberry red to a more cardinal red. And then if you look at the blue background, same thing again. Deliberate choices about changing value or changing color altogether. Does it represent the water and like plants and trees? Is it representative of the natural world? Are we looking at a semi landscape? Probably, but hard to tell. The stylization is so extreme in the best possible way. You rarely see color blocking in hooked rugs. Rarely. We rarely get to talk about color blocking, how you break it down. Color blocking says to you as a rug hooker, does it look like I ran out of color or does it look like I did it on purpose? That's what color blocking is to us, definition wise. That's what this is all about too. Did she run out of the red? I don't think so. I think she was creating patterning by making color substitutions. Also in the sky, like the sky is that dark gray, like a brown gray. That's not even a solid. Lots of color change happening here. Really ingenious. Oh, maybe they are. No, the woodpecker's longer than 12-inch square for sure, right? That's totally longer. This one, the bobcat, I can see as being a 12-inch square. And again, you're seeing the animals sort of interact with the DNA. It's like a tangle or some kind of a fence or something that needs to be jumped over, but he's kind of being partitioned in by this sort of fence-like chain, which is again DNA. This one has some different stuff going on. You can tell that they're all going to be quite different. Beautiful rendition of a bobcat, lots of color change, lots of picking out of striping and spotting. The expression is fantastic. That little straight mouth, quite serious, very, very engaged, interested. Are you coming near me? Slow down the car, right? This is like you're interacting with this animal. It is looking directly at you. In the background, we're getting way more stylization in the style of the woodpecker, but different choices. This is more, well, the sky is more of a Klimt, which makes sense to me with the gold. Remember Klimt's gold period? It lasted only about 10 years, and it was a reaction to his brother dying and also his father dying in the same year. And his father was a goldsmith. So he got very interested in the use of metallics and gold in his paintings. The use of gold, like proper gold with this DNA chain, is very Klimt to me. So it doesn't surprise me to see that sort of, those sort of little sort of checkerboard, right? It's not as regular as a checkerboard, but those glimmers of very Klimt colors, the royal blue, the rusty red and the yellow gold, very Klimt colors in the background. Really interesting sky. And the ground, completely different yet again, right? We are seeing more of a hit or miss, very controlled color palette, all sort of warm yellows, greens, reds, a little bit of rusty orange, browns, and vertical hooking. So while there is a sort of suggestion of horizontal orientation or thrust in the blue above, only because there is a color change that occurs horizontally in the grass, in the ground, however you interpret that ground as green grass and brown earth, whatever. There is a very vertical orientation happening there because of the placement of hit or miss. She's literally taking single strands, hooking them as long as she's got mileage, and then on to the next. And there is color blocking. They are hit or miss, but there is color blocking within the hit or miss. Clearly, you see a field of brown with a different color palette. Then the top is like a darker green, right? Still many of the same colors present, hit or miss. And at the bottom left, to me, the predominant color is a lighter green or like a spring green, heading toward yellow, still the same color palette, but sorry, each field introduces different colors. We're not seeing red across the board, right? So the artist is Jen is holding back from field to field and making decisions based on what she wants to occur in each of the fields. She does not want the bobcat to get lost. She does want to hold your interest. So she's not just creating straight up grass. She's creating a lot of interest in the bottom field that reads as the ground and the top field that reads as either water or sky. Extraordinary piece. And here, let's look at these two together. We've got two more birds. The bottom one looks like, what is that? Like, what are those little smudge guys called? Oh, oh, what is it? The top one, is that a chickadee? The bottom one with that little peaked head, what is he called? Mom, we have them here. You have them outside in your garden. I always want to say smudge, but it's not. It has a very aggressive, very harsh sounding name like valve or vault or no, not that harsh. Somebody knows, but again, same devices, but very different. Look at the way titmice. I don't think the bottom one is a titmouse, is it? With a little peaked head like that? I mean, he might be, but I know we have another one that looks like that, and it is a different bird. I mean, I could be crossing wires with my birds. I'm not a birder. I do love them. Not good at identifying them. Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. In any case, as we look at these two, your eye does see that there are different fields, right? We're doing something different with the DNA in both, in all four of them. And it's really interesting. And this one is kind of like a necklace or something that the bird is sitting on, right? They're using it again as a vehicle. The bird is perched on it. And within the DNA chain, we are seeing not exactly a hit or miss, but we are seeing patterning, a very mid-century modern color palette on this second one, the second down from the top. Absolutely beautiful. There is an organic flow in the background. If you look at the bottom left, that rose color, right, that dark sort of dusty rose color, you're seeing almost very naturalist kind of stone pattern, maybe leopard pattern. It's a circular pattern at least. But in the background, we're seeing a lot of color mixing, right? That is not solid, but we are seeing kind of periwinkle, lilac, a mixture of those blues, lavender, dilly dilly colors, right? Blues and lavenders in the background, and a very organic feel of almost a seaweed shape, right? No, that's a good one. I know grackle, but no, not grackle. What's his name? This little guy. I just had this conversation recently, and I was able. Let me see if Google Lens picks him up. I was having it, I think, with my husband, and we were able to figure it out in the end, which is pretty remarkable because he was at our bird feeder. And we were like, oh no, we gotta know who this little guy is. Let me take a photo of him. Let's see if Google Lens can help us. And maybe it is titmouse. Maybe it's not going to help at all. Let's see. I'm just going to zero in on that little one. But I would, before I go to bed, I would like to know what we're dealing with here. Um, no, you're right, titmouse. Yeah, it does look like a tufted titmouse. That's definitely not what I'm thinking of. Dang it. I'm going to be in limbo for a while. Oh well, I'm tired enough to sleep tonight. No, you're absolutely right. That's definitely a titmouse. Dang it. Anyway, um, yeah, this device with the DNA, if you got a challenge through your guild and somebody said to you, "Hey, guess what the next theme is? DNA." Would you say to yourself, "Yes," or would you be like, "Are you me? Are you blanking me?" Because I would be the latter. However, when I look at the use of these DNA strands, I think to myself, man, if you can just steer away from bad moods and shutting your own yourself down, right, talking yourself out of stuff, it is amazing how imaginative and creative ideas you can come up with. And these the series of four, the DNA series, are just crazy. I love titmouse sitting on the chain. I love the patterning in the background. I love the color introduced with this like light kind of fleshy yellow color. It's a wacky color to go with the dusty rose and lavender purpley blue, right? What a combo. I mean, it's such an unusual color palette. It's so striking. The green as well, like that's a really cool green. So striking. Obviously, these are original patterns, really interesting. The top one, very different yet again. That little guy, who's that little guy there? He's on a branch. We've got the DNA strands. He's standing on a strand again. And there is patterning within the strands. Look through both diagonals. The one coming in on top is more blues and greens. The one on the bottom is more reds. So there has been color change there. And On that top one, you can see shading on the strands. It's more like like metal chain, right? Like chain link. So that one has different connotation for me. That's like like chain swings or something that you would hold on to. The others are more stylized. This one for me is more literal because the chain is quite realistic to my eye. I love the I love the design breakdown here. I love the composition. Look at that green grass. Junco. Yes, thank you, Mom. That is it. Junco is what I was thinking of. Thank you. Thank God. Junco. But yeah, this one maybe is a titmouse. It's what Google says too. The one on the top is different for me because I'm not a fan of the color palette. That's probably just me because obviously it's very successful. Red opposite green is one of the strongest because they're opposite colors on the color wheel, but the bottom is hit or miss, different kinds of greens, and she's introduced a little of the red from the sky. That makes a lot of sense to me. I love the motion of the chain, right? It's doing a almost a Z pattern for us. Remember how some of those composition starters, letters of the alphabet are great ways to start. The one right below it is more like a V, but it has an O within it. Always worth thinking about this stuff. The diagonals for the one on top is like a swish, like swish, 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 which isn't quite a Z, but there's many lines happening there. And that branch, which in terms of perspective disappears out in the distance, right? Tapers off, right? Like quite realistically, is still stylized and is cutting right through both of those DNA strands. It's really softening the metal quality to those two strands. What else is softening the metal quality? Well, obviously the dainty little bird, but the cluster of leaves on the top right, bringing in the ground very successfully, but also bringing in more of that green, which I think is much needed. Red is it rarely fails to be a poison color. This is quite subdued red, and we've got many shades of red, so it's not punching us in the throat, but the softening is for me helping. And again, similar to the one below it, that organic feeling, the little branches coming down has an Asian feel to me. Like when you see haiku poems being illustrated, you see in the background designs with this exact pattern. So the fact that it's present in these two, really cool. I'm wondering if Jen stops at four or if this is a larger. I think once you get going and you're having this much success with the series, I think it's very hard to stop. Diane says, "Yes, thank you for my for bird name was making me insane. Becoming 60 is tricky business. Absolutely, me too. Because I knew it. Junco is a bit of a severe word, isn't it? Isn't it? I can never remember it. It's such a weird name. Thank God, my mom remembered it. She's really good at remembering bird names. Thank God, because I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and be thinking about whether it's a junco or a whatever, you know. Hold on just a second. I just want to move this one for you because I wanted to. Oh no, I think we saw the last one. Okay. What's going on? Wait a minute. No, hang on. Bad things are happening. Bad things are happening. So maybe that's our last one. Let me just check that we saw everything in that slide. Let me make it a little bit. There we go, you stinker. Oh no, there is one more on top. Let's do this one. This one is not attributed, so that one might be Biffy as well. Um, Beautiful. Is this a loon? Beautiful piece, right? Beautiful piece, very primitive piece. The bird is the star, for surezies, lots of great patterning on the bird. He's got very striking red eye that's working great against that primitive colored kind of gray water. It seems like a bit of a bleak day, but this animal really stands out. That forest green in the distance, a little blue tint to it, little blue tint to the shadowy silhouette of trees in the distance as well, giving a lot. Having those things in silhouette and being quite solid is giving permission to the sky and the water to be quite highly patterned, because more so the sky than the water, because the bird is highly patterned, right? And if there's too many things patterned, you're going to lose focus, you're going to lose the tightness of the composition. That is not happening in this case. Very graphic handling of the bird, very gentle patterning to the water, and much more elaborate patterning to the sky. Lots more values introduced in the sky, but sticking with very subtle and neutral colors. yet remaining a very visually striking and graphic piece. Interesting, right? Let me just make this last slide um, smaller to be sure that we saw everything. I don't want to be skipping over stuff. And we will return to this episode on Monday and look at more of these rugs. Yeah, I think we did it there. Um, considering what this carpet looks like, I'm amazed that we can get so much clear information from these rugs. These are really, really striking rugs, and I love all of them. These birds and the bobcat really have me thinking, like, what's the relationship between the two birds, the woodpecker and the bobcat? It makes me wonder whether Jen is going to do more in the series of DNA. And it does make me think, yes, loon. I carried once in college, very huge, very deceptive because they sit low in the water. That's a great point. Yeah, I can see that now that you said that. I never would have gotten there on my own. But yeah, they do. Their bodies look like weird shaped because I guess so much of it is underwater. They sometimes remind me of cormorants, but they're more patterns, they're not like solid. But you know what this has me thinking of? I think one of the reasons I'm so tired is partly because of sleep, definitely because of busyness, but also because I'm dying to eat dinner. My mother, she fed me some nice fruity tooties downstairs and nice snackies, but the my salad came when they went out to get the pizza, and I had already started this and the struggle. So I'm looking forward splurging tonight. I'm having a salad, but Dave, it's not one of yours, believe me. I'm having a salad, but with buffalo chicken on top. God, my back hurts. Um, anyway, what the thought I want to leave you with tonight is, now think about it. If Jen can do a challenge with DNA and you're able to introduce as a decorative thing all of those gorgeous chains, make patterning within the chains, with little stripies and things, make some of the chains realistic, some of them just colored lines. I mean, it just makes you think, what else could you throw out as a crazy pattern idea? What else could you throw out there and say, this sounds impossible, but I bet it would work? Does anybody have an idea? That salad does sound good, doesn't it? I'm going to eat the chicken first. Obviously, I'm not a fool. I'm going to eat the chicken first. I'm going to devour it, and then I'll eat the greens. Technology, I know it. The worst. Thank you for sticking with me tonight because I know it was glitching. I'm going to try again with some different stuff, and I might just hardwire next time. It's a bummer to be all Stephen King in the basement running shows. I like to be in the light and the sun. Just mentally helps, but we'll do whatever we have to do to make sure we don't glitch. So we'll try. I have to experiment some more. It's just been so busy. I'm so sorry I didn't come to you earlier this week. It has been impossible because we're going away like next Thursday. It has just been impossible to kind of hit all my bases. I have a lot of orders, trying to get stuff out. I don't want anybody waiting while I'm on vacation for orders. A lot of stuff at the church this week. I mean, it's just been, yeah, crazy. Um, yeah, let's think about it. Let's think about, like, if we were to say, because I have some challenges coming up for you, and so you'll hear about those. I will be in touch, even when I'm on the Cape. I will be in touch. I'll be sending you videos and photos and things like that. And I won't be probably doing live shows because the connection, oh, those roots. So I'm not going to let you see those roots. Um, a huge problem. But I'm still going to be in touch. I'm not just going to disappear. I do want to think about this. Like, what could you do that seems like impossible? Oh, you know what? This thought I can bling. Bling is a great theme. Couching, being on my tea rug, couch like doing couching is a great theme. Salad is a great theme, right? Lettuce is a great theme. If you think about lettuce, the shape of it, like cabbage and lettuce, that's a great. Kaffe Fassett knows what a great pattern or device lettuce is. I mean, it's basically not everything, but a lot of things that you think of weirdly could become amazing pattern series. It's worth thinking about glasses, right? Using the use of glasses. You could do a whole series about glasses used in different ways on different kinds of people, different people who look different, wear different costumes, but also still lifes with glasses, right? Glasses on animals, I can never say that word, promorphic. That wasn't it. So many lampshades. I mean, there's so many. I'm just looking around the room now, obviously. There's so many things that you could create a theme with. What made me think, like, oh, was when I was in Vermont, one of the ladies bought one of the Alice Butler patterns that was circuit boards. Right. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat knows what a great device, thank you, a circuit board is, because Jamie is always doing stuff with circuit, not always. I mean, he's got a huge variety of stuff and he works very fast, but always doing stuff with circuitry. And who would ever think that that would be interesting? And yet it is. Keyboard. I can't say I've ever seen anyone hook a keyboard. I don't know that I'd want to see the characters on the keyboard, but just those squares with those rounded squares within, that would be tricky to hook. But I bet that would make an awesome pattern that would be visually recognizable. In Vermont, somebody picked up the pattern of that's called Brownian movement. And if you remember the story from the Alice Butler series of videos that I did, those were the most exciting ones ever to me. Um, that's right, all of the glasses in a kaleidoscope. Man, I have found so I lost my purple glasses, which is a huge problem because those are my driving glasses. But incredibly, I found another pair that worked just as well. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I would love to see that rug. That would be super fun, very pop culture too. But somebody about Brownian movement, and I'll just as like our last thing of the night remind you what Brownian movement was. At least the Brownian movement is a scientific term. Let me pull it up because my brain is too tired. I'll give you the definition of Brownian movement. I can do it layman's terms, but let's be official. What is Brownian movement? Let me read it to you. Um, Brownian motion is the random, erratic, zigzag movement of microscopic particles suspended in fluid or gas. I don't think that's correct. That is what AI tells us. That's too specific. That's way too specific because Brownian movement, I know for a fact, includes things that erratic is correct, but things that move as a result of vibration, whether the vibration is like earthquake or tremors or whatever, or the vibration is footsteps, or the vibration is a motor, right? Like a motor that quietly buzzes for years. And in the case of the pattern, if you remember the pattern called Brownian movement, it's one of my favorites. It's there at Ribbon Candy Hooking. It's like a checkerboard background, really speaks to Jen's birds with all the wacky backgrounds, right? Like all different fields cut up. It's got like a wobbly checkerboard background and then this weird geometric that makes no sense. And what it was for sure, because Vic, the son, Vic Butler, designed it. What it was they moved. Do you remember this? They moved the refrigerator after it had been in place in the kitchen for many decades. They moved the refrigerator, and there was a pattern on the checkered, multicolored checkered linoleum floor because of Brownian movement. Over the years, the refrigerator walked a little bit, just the vibration of it being on, hummed and walked a little bit, but over decades, it was a bit. And you could see it had made this pattern. And that is the pattern called Brownian movement or motion. The pattern is called Brownian movement. But I thought so interesting. Who would ever? Okay, so here's another crazy one. Thank you, Diane. It was fun. It was a fun show tonight. After all that trouble, again, thank you for sticking with me. I need you to be there because you all are so positive when like shows are difficult, technologically difficult, and you just make me feel better and secure and like I can be happy again. So thank you. Because sometimes technology makes me feel like I can never be happy again. But that's a whole theme in and of itself, like connected to the DNA. Like scientific terms would be a great series. And how do you interpret them? If you know what Brownian movement is, oh, that's so weird. I was like, what's all those stripes on my shirt? I guess they're on my shirt, right? Those are like stems. That was where again, I was like, this conversation and the rugs we just looked at, I'm thinking, what the heck is that? Um, the quilt behind me too, not the yo-yo, but this one that I did years ago, right? All these geometrics. We're surrounded by geometric thoughts tonight, but something to think about, series of things, because whether or not you're a gallery artist or not, it is fun. It is fun to create a series of something. And once you get locked into your series, maybe you don't know if your series is going to be like a very sort of modest 3 or 5, or whether you're going to go off your chain and your series is going to be like 50. We don't sometimes know until we get started. It is fun to work or to think in a series mentality like Jen with the birds and the DNA, because it gives you an assignment. Sometimes when you're like all at sixes and sevens, you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I can't think of any new ideas. If you give yourself an assignment and you're like, okay, well, I'm just working on the next one of that. That's the assignment. Do something with DNA. That's a fun way to force yourself to work and to think outside the box. And if you give yourself something hard, like DNA, you really have to work outside the box and look at those great results, right? Interesting. Um, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. It was a really fun show in the end. Thank you everyone for being here. Hey, don't forget about the Chetty Camp. And so that's coming up. Let me just check the calendar to make sure we're good. Chetty Camp comes up on Monday. You can still sign up for that. The kit might not make it, but you can log on. The kit will come later and it is recorded, right? So you can still do that if you wanted to on Monday. And I will be with you Monday morning for a show, and we will continue this conversation. And okay, I wrote something on my calendar. Felicity. I'm like, what does that mean? It's my hairdresser. Yeah, so we'll see how the rest of next week goes. And we're going to put it up on the website if my husband hasn't already put it up that I am away May 21st to June 6th. And you will see me during that time, but just not for live shows. We are on it. Okay, I just heard something crazy. We are at a cabin on the water. I didn't glitch just then. So yeah, and I'm sure I'll find lots of things to show you while we're there as well, which is exciting. So hey, in the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. Think about signing up for the Chetty Camp class. Maybe look up some of the things we talked about today, the Brownian movement. That episode with my sister, right? Her name is Jessica David, so it might be with Jessica David or British Art Museum, something like that. But that is a really fun video to watch if you haven't seen that one. Just totally different, very academic conversation, but I think very useful conversation about color. So have a great weekend in the meantime. If I find anything exciting, I will tell you. Otherwise, I'll be with you on Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, later in the day with BettyAnn Cormier, I'll be on that as well. And oh, Dondi, me too. It's great to see you. It's great to see you. And in the meantime, you can reach me anytime at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. I will see you all very soon. Happy weekend. Bon appetit.